The e-Yantra Virtual Museum competition is actually a course which lasts about 7 to 8 weeks, and it's a project-based learning program where we train students in some very important skills through a competition paradigm. So competition is more to motivate the students and keep them excited. But it's actually a course where through actually they learn by actually doing history. Without much ado, maybe we'll just launch into the program today by handing over the floor first to my colleague Deepa, who's been leading the entire virtual museum and the school initiative.
Thank you so much, sir, for the introduction. And above all, we welcome everybody here, we welcome our participants and our guests of honor and our jury members in this session. So this is the grand finals of the Virtual Museum Competition, Edition 3. We had about 51 teams. And out of 51 teams, we have 13 teams who have qualified for this grand finals. These are our jury members. So we had the jury interaction on 13th and 14th October. I request Kavi Arya sir for his talk on history, technology, and art of storytelling.
So, why history? I'm a professor of computer science at IIT Bombay. Now, why am I interested in history? I used to almost fail at history at school, but then we've come to an understanding that we've really missed out on a very important part of our education. Would you know that there's an engineering college in the US called Olin College, which is one of the most distinguished undergraduate engineering colleges? It trains its students through project-based learning, through learning by doing, and the distinguished MIT of Boston believes that this is one of the best engineering colleges. What's interesting about Olin College is that almost all subjects at Olin are optional. There are only two subjects which are compulsory. Those two subjects are history and English literature. So why history and why English literature? History, what a historian does is that a historian is faced with evidence of various grades, reliable, unreliable, written, heard, and conversations, and all this type of evidence. And a historian has to come to an understanding logically of what might have been the truth. There's a process of deduction, there's a process of statistical analysis of the data, and all this is classified as something called critical thinking. It's a very, very fundamental life skill. And the study of history actually trains you in that very effectively. But why is critical thinking important? It's one of the fundamental skills. If you look at it, an engineer, when they solve a problem, they have to be given a problem to solve. But who decides what is the problem to solve? That is where critical thinking comes to our help. And the humanities have a lot of experience in that. What does an IAS officer do? They are given some Pradhan Mantri Yojana to dispense in some districts. How do they find out whether the Yojana has worked or not? What should they measure in order to decide whether it's worked or not? Or what is the right kind of thing to deploy? All these kind of things require critical thinking. Okay, so having said that, this is what brought us to history, and we thought that it's a subject that could be really presented better to students in schools, and it's taught in a very boring way. So we thought, how can we make it more exciting? So what do students like? They love technology, they like computers, they like graphics and all that, animation. So why not use these as a means, as a vahan, to train students in history? So we came across some very interesting technology called photogrammetry. Photogrammetry is where you can take a lot of photographs of an object and you can just put those into a software. It gives you a 3D model. And then you can take that model and using Blender, which is an open source 3D design tool, you can build a 3D virtual museum exhibit. Now, this sounds very complicated, but we have proven to you over a series of competitions that young people, even 7th, 8th standard school children, can pick up this technology so fast, faster than even their teachers, and do amazing things with it. So we trained them in the technological skills, but along that, the other skills, which was we trained them first how to personalize history. So we said, make your family tree and tell the story about your family in a wow kind of manner. And they used to go and accost their grandparents and extract all the stories out of them, but that's another story. And after that, we trained them in research methodology, where we trained them that how do you do research? Because everything that they should present in the story should be defensible by them. And then they go to the whole process of making the videos about it and telling the story and, storytelling in a wow kind of way. So that sums up what we've done with them. And at the end of it, we get these wonderful artifacts. So that's our vision. It's a virtual museum competition, DIY, made by students for students. So in the process, they learn research methodologies, teamwork, communication skills, curriculum engagement, critical thinking, and exciting technologies. Now, the core thing here is that we try and seed an attitude in the participant that they must be curious and they must question everything. Goal is a wow story, spatially and across time. That means tell us what all is happening in the world at that time, map it to your curriculum and so on, and think like a historian. Cite sources, identify problems, and be resourceful. And our vision is just change the outlook of students. We want to create thinkers and innovators. We want to create people who are capable of learning by themselves. Remember, this entire experience has been online. So the students have learned online, and a lot of the learning has been self-learning. And here's where I shall hand over to my colleague here, Maddu Shravanamurli, who's very passionately been leading this entire effort.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. Basically, how did we develop our competition? So during the prototyping phase of our virtual museum competition, we had to go to many places, not only in IIT, but all these other heritage rich places, and interact with the site and the artifacts. All these other children that we have are from Kendra Vidyalaya, IIT Bombay. So we took them on a field trip for a day to Canary Caves, and we taught them on site how to do photogrammetry, and the results were extraordinary. In Bombay, you have heritage walks. They are mostly situated like every Sunday. You can basically get in touch with these history experts who take you around the southern Bombay portion of the streets, and then they tell you how those buildings or structures or the cultures of those buildings came across. So we, along with Kavi sir basically organized the entire walk with the expert Anita ma'am from St. Xavier's College, and she took us around this place in South Bombay, and we came across these beautiful structures. And then that is when we realized that we keep crossing these beautiful heritage rich buildings and structures. All these things have been there for hundreds of years. It's just that we don't know about them. But once you get to make an effort to actually know about all these things, you start seeing the entire world from a new perspective. So few of those examples are there in the slide. So as a effort, so we went to Vasai Fort. So in Vasai Fort, we went to a church called St. Franciscan Church. So we took all of our best equipment to the site, and we took a drone footage also. In this slide is what you see is the St. Franciscan Church, which is in ruins at the moment, but it is a church built by the Portuguese, and it is very next to the sea line. So there is a car right next to it. So that tells you the entire scale of the site. So we decided to use photogrammetry on this particular monument. So this is the insides of the church. And then we took a LiDAR scan. So nowadays on iPads and iPhones, you have LiDAR scanners. And what you see is not a video. This is actually a 3D model made by a paid app called Metascan. And then you can introduce this app, this model into Blender, and then use it in situations like, for example, games or documentation or architecture and other things like that. Then after we came back, we sat down with Professor Kavi Arya and learned. So the first week is generally focused on themselves and the family that they come from. So we ask our participants to focus on making a family genealogy. They're also learning technologies like how to make videos, how to use video and audio as a representation of the storytelling aspect of the submission. So in the following week, we go to artifact selection by the students. So in artifact selection, we ask our students to make teams and then give us a proposal on what is the artifact that you want to do research on. Then after the proposal has been submitted, we sit and approve if the artifact is actually feasible to do photogrammetry on. Does it have enough information or literature on the internet, or is there some guide who can provide you all these things? So we sit with each of these teams and then we discuss the potential of that artifact. Then after that, week 3 also goes in approving and disapproving with the proposal. And by end of week 3, we basically finalize on an artifact with each of these student teams. And the week 4, that is when we go into submissions of research documents. So they keep sending us research. We keep correcting them, scrutinizing them, telling them how to make it better. And then we send them back and then we wait for their responses. In the meantime, they also have to learn how Blender works and make a simple table and chair so that they understand how the tools of Blender and 3D modeling happens. And in week 5 and week 6, we basically focus on the final exhibition. So by this week 5 and week 6, we basically try to get some resolution with each of the participants and their teams, and we basically polish down on the exhibit design and the posters that they create for the exhibition. And also they have to submit a video submission with each of these artifacts, talking about the artifact and the historical significance of it. And after us taking another 2 weeks to 2 to 3 or 4 weeks to go through the submissions, we do our jury interactions and then we conduct the grand finale. So that is how we end up over here. So I will hand over the floor to Kavi sir.
Thank you, Maddu. So basically, this is what we are trying to do, right? We are trying to create a change of outlook. We are trying to create thinkers. We are trying to create people who are capable of self-learning. As you can see, the learning curve is pretty intense. And in 7 weeks, they're doing a hell of a lot of work. And you should have the curiosity to question the status quo. Unfortunately, because of the very patriarchal and hierarchical society that we live in India, questioning is not encouraged. And that's the fundamental outlook which is required if India has to become an innovation culture to take its real place in the world. So we have a video which is 12 minutes long.
It is a pair of ancestral Lham or traditional Bhutanese boots. As humans, we knowingly or unknowingly leave traces of our existence even with our simplest acts. These acts are often reflective of our distinctive ways of life, beliefs, and culture. Our attires in specific are significant markers of not only the geographic conditions which they are made of, but also the beliefs, values, and cultural patterns of a community. Apart from their basic functionality, parts of attires form a very important part of any community's tangible heritage. One such aspect of attire in the Bhutanese tradition are the Lham, originally made from silk cloth, later leather. Lham are boots worn by men during festive seasons. These pairs of boots were often decorated with embroidery and were also markers of the social status of the wearer.
Bhutan is known for its rich cultural heritage and the vibrant nature of its traditions. A very integral part of Bhutanese artistic heritage is taken up by its various handicrafts. One such is the Palang or Palang, a traditional container made to hold locally brewed alcohol in Bhutan. The Palang is usually made out of bamboo, wood, or horn. The usage of the Palang within Bhutanese culture extends beyond its usage in religious rituals and traditions. The Palang and its usage act as a symbol of social solidarity, camaraderie, and generosity. In the 200-year colonial rule of British over India, the revolt of 1857 proved to be the very first struggle for freedom. This struggle was orchestrated by individual acts of uprising against the British authority. The Shaheed Bhale Sultan Smarak stands to mark the location of one such revolt. The Smarak marks the armed conflict between soldiers who were conferred the title of Bhale Sultans and the British General Franks, leading to the defeat of the Bhale Sultani soldiers. The artifact chosen by the group is a small statue of the Shakyamuni Gautama Buddha. The Buddha's life and teaching are the foundation upon which Buddhism as a way of life spread within and beyond the Indian subcontinent. In the form of ideology of Buddhism, the Shakyamuni preached the Four Noble Truths and the practice of the Eightfold Path. The icon of Buddha for the purposes of worship first emerged during the Kushana rule around the late 1st and early 2nd century BCE, before which the Buddha was worshipped via symbols presenting him. Later, this depiction of the Buddha in his human form was found via the Gandhara, Mathura, and Amravati styles of art. A very well-known aspect of Bhutanese culture is the vibrant celebrations that are part of their religious and spiritual practices. A very important part of these celebrations is the usage of intricately made facial masks. These masks represent a different deity, character, or spirit. Usage of these masks for the purpose of the charm dance is said to invoke the blessings and powers associated with the deity. The mask presented by the team is that of the Lord of Death, who guides departed souls towards their destined realms. The mask is usually adorned with an ornate headdress bearing symbols of cosmic significance. The Lord of Immortality mask accurately presents the amalgamation of religious and spiritual thought with the rich artistic tradition of Bhutan.
Seemaji, maybe I shall pick on you first. Do you have any questions that you'd like to address to any of the teams?
So the booths, you've told us why and how they're used in ceremonial thing, but tell us a little bit more about, how they are made, who makes them, who uses them.
Just to add to what Seemaji was saying, I was also wondering, did they have a look at, what did it cost? What's, especially if it's the leather, was it common usage or did only the rich wear it?
First of all, warm greetings to everyone, and we're really thankful to be here today. So talking about Tsho Lham, it is made out of leather. In the olden days, it was usually used to keep us warm from the cold winter days. The sole is made out of cow skin, so that most of the soles in the shoes are thick. Tsho Lham was brought by Jabdrungao Namgyal in 1616 in Bhutan.
It was brought by a general in Bhutan.
Yes, sir.
So who wears it? Is it a symbol of status? And do high status people wear different kind of solams or what?
The color, depending on their state, depending on the color of their Tsho Lham, their status is shown, sir. So, for example, for us common citizens, our color is green. For our king, it is yellow, and for the prime ministers, it is orange.
I hope that answers the questions. Thanks, guys. Team Glow.
Our guests in a YouTube live is asking what is the significance of the lotus in below the Buddha, in the small carving of Buddha statue.
So in Buddhism, the lotus is associated with purity, spiritual awakening, and faithfulness. The flower is considered pure as it is able to emerge from murky waters in the morning, and it is, even though it comes from dirty waters, it is clean and it is pure. And it also symbolizes the purity of speech, the body, and of the mind. According to the traditional biographies and as written by the philosophers and historians, the Gautama Buddha's first 7 steps made the lotus flower appear.
Thank you. That's a good
Yeah,
answer.
yes, sir.
And
Thank you,
can you tell us a little bit about the mudra?
Yeah.
So this mudra is the Dharma Chakra mudra, where the Buddha's hands are positioned in front of his chest with the thumb and index finger turning the wheel of Dharma, where he picks and he turns the wheel of Dharma. And this mudra signifies the Buddha's first sermon and the turning of the wheel of Dharma. The Buddha had did his first sermon and teachings in Sarnath near Kasi.
Yeah, Kasi. And where did he attain enlightenment?
Sir, in Bihar, Bodh Gaya under the Bodhi tree, sir.
So this Ara Palang is a traditional Bhutanese wine container. So Ara is basically a alcoholic beverage made out of rice. Traditionally, they are made out of bamboo also, but one of the other materiality of this palang is of the buffalo horn. So they do intricate carvings on them and they polish it so that the preservation functionality is there. And they also embroider it with metallic designs all over it.
We have a question for the Lord of Mortality Mask. So why don't you tell the guests, our friends, about this mask, about what are the textures, what's it made of, who makes it, how much is it for, where does it come from?
So BAAP was originated during 13 Pemalingpa's time. The term 13 means treasure discoverer, and Pemalingpa was a treasure discoverer too. So he was also a descendant of Guru Rinpoche, and then he continuously got visions of different types of buffs, and then that's why he decided to create buffs into life.
And they used woods to make the buffs because, that Bhutan is a country covered in trees, so woods were available everywhere, making it the best choice for carving a buff in it. And wooden masks that were carved long ago and taken care of still last till this day. So I guess basically it also is for durability, and it symbolizes the connection between human and nature, as buffs are already inspired by animals more.
Tirthan Pemalingpa didn't really make it for his economic growth. He made it because he always got visions, like my friend said, and then he wanted to showcase those animals. He wanted to tell and showcase those animals and then tell other people that those animals exist in the afterlife.
And to add on this, wood would be way more lighter compared if you made it with other metals.
And what are those little heads on top of the mask?
Those are skulls. So the buff that we use, Lord of Mortality, is usually present in hell. So the skulls somehow represent the death of humans.
Okay, and it's used in this chum dance, right? What is that chum dance?
The chum dance is performed during the rituals like situs and domchis and all. Well, the chums were first performed by Guru Rinpoche to subdue the demons.
So chum dances were basically performed in these festivals as offerings to the deities, protectors, and spirits to seek their blessings, protection, and their guidance.
The artifact chosen by the team is a Lakshmi Narayan idol. Within the Brahmanical pantheon, Vishnu, also known as Narayan, holds a significant place as the sustainer among the trinity Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Over the years, the two divinities have come to symbolize a singular, inseparable entity. This idea has further been fortified by the fact that incarnations of Lord Vishnu on earth, especially like those of Rama avatar where Lakshmi is Sita and in the Krishna avatar where she is Rukmini. Together, Lakshmi and Narayan represent a balance between the material and the spiritual. The religion and philosophy of Hinduism and Buddhism over their years of coexistence in the Indian subcontinent has led to both these ideologies influencing one another. This influence can be seen in case of certain common attributes of deities, in representation of art and iconography. One such element that finds place in both Buddhist and Hindu art is the depiction of the Vajra. The Vajra consists of a central shaft that has symmetrical prongs on both sides. This weapon was in Hinduism wielded by Indra, the king of gods, while in Buddhist tradition finds a very prominent place in Vajrayana school of Buddhism. Their chosen object is an ancestral sword previously owned by Sangay Tenzin, a remarkable figure in the history of Bhutan. Swords in cultures across the world hold a significant place. They present a very important phase in the evolution of weaponry. Swords evolved as weapons from the initial handled stone tools to metal blades that were used for multiple purposes. Swords or patangs found origin in the Bronze Age and continued to evolve through the Iron Age. Even after swords were replaced by firearms, they continued to be markers of social status, honor, bravery, and courage. They continue to be a vital part of culture and traditional celebrations to remind the local people of their rich heritage. The next artifact is based on the stone chariot, which is a part of the Hampi group of monuments. The stone chariot is a 16th century temple dedicated to Garuda, the Vahan of Lord Vishnu. It is built inside the Vijaya Vithala temple, dedicated to the Lord Vithala form of Vishnu. The stone chariot is inspired by the sun chariot at Konark in Odisha, which King Krishnadev saw when he was at war with the ruler of Odisha. The temple in its architecture is a marvel and finds mention among the 3 famous stone chariots in India, including the one in Konark and the other in Mahabalipuram.
Any questions that the Vajra team would like to answer? The symbolism of the Vajra, when it is used, is it still used?
We use the Vajra during rites and rituals, especially for our annual windows. And then the head lama or the spiritual leader, they use it in a particular hand position and do and they have this combination of hand movements, and they also use the drilbu, which is the bell along with the vajra. It's usually used with a bell, which is delbu, and then they both the bell represents wisdom and the vajra represents compassion.
Thanks for the response. And can we speak to the sword team now, swordsmen?
As you all know, that swords are sharp-edged bladed weapons intended for cutting, slashing, or thrusting. So in Bhutan, it is also known as patang, which plays an equally important role as it does to the rest of the world. So firstly, patang holds a central role in Buddhist culture. So it has a unique blend of elements from Tibet, and it represents the country's historical identity. So these swords are not just weapons, but it's also a symbol of honor, status, and cultural heritage.
The chariot, I think SaiAnish has done that. Sai, you told us about your observation that originally there must have been horses, and now they put elephants there. How did you come to that conclusion?
When I was taking the photographs around the artifact, I noticed the tail and the leg of this horse. Then I searched it about Google and some journals. Then I found.
So we found it very interesting to hear from you how you must have that you traveled 200 kilometers along with your parents to do a scan of this monument in Hampi, right? And you spent the entire day doing
Yes, sir.
the photography of this thing. You're waiting for opportunities when there are no people around it, so you can run around and do your.
There was much crowd, sir, and the artifact was 16 feet, so it was difficult to take the photographs.
So why did you choose this artifact?
I chose the stone chariot of Hampi. It is the jewel of Hampi. When I was a small kid, I visited the stone chariot of Hampi. I saw many temples and more artifacts in the Hampi, but I like this more because it has great history. It is in UNESCO World Heritage Site also.
Okay.
And it is in 50 rupees also, sir. 50 rupees note back side.
Okay, it's on the 50 rupee note also. That's interesting.
Within the Hindu pantheon, Ganesha has been given the status of the deity worshipped before any other. He is worshipped as the harbinger of new and auspicious beginnings, and for being the remover of obstacles. Idols of Ganesha find a place in almost every household and depict a great variety not only in form but also in material. This particular idol of Ganesh is made of Ashtadhatu, literally meaning 8 metals: gold, silver, zinc, copper, tin, mercury, and iron. Ashtadhatu has been a part of the traditional metallurgy in India due to the positive attributes attached to usage of specific metals in making of idols. The team's chosen artifact is a choosing, a traditional water storage pot. Tangible heritage of a community, as mentioned before, is vital to the story of any community. Such heritage makes an excellent source to study the past. Study of heritage via ancestral artifacts is useful in understanding the evolution in the day-to-day life. Choosing literally translates to a traditional water storage pot. These pots served a vital role in water storage in the absence of present-day water storage tanks. During such a time, choosing, like the one portrayed, were owned only by those belonging to wealthy families. The artifact is a representation of the Marapachi Bomai. Marapachi Bomai literally means wooden dolls. They are figurines made specifically of red sandalwood or silk cottonwood. These figurines play an integral role during the 9-day celebrations of Dasera, known as Gulu or Kolu in the southern states of India. The Golus or Kolus also refer to a pyramidical setup of decorations that resemble and correspond to the tiers of the Dravidian Gopurams and their alignment to cardinal directions. These dolls are said to represent the man and woman of the household. Some notable examples of Golu dolls are Tanjore dolls from Tamil Nadu, Kondapalli dolls from Andhra Pradesh, Chenapatna dolls from Karnataka. As a tradition, Marapachi Bomai find their way from mother to daughter to begin the latter's initiation in the Bomai Kolu arrangement. Their chosen artifact is the famed veiled Rebecca housed in the Salar Jung Museum in Hyderabad. Acquired by Salar Jung I in 1876 during his visit to Rome, the veiled Rebecca is considered to be one of the finest works by sculptor G.B. Benzoni. It is an excellent example of the neoclassical style of art. The neoclassical style of art emerged in the 1760s and reached its zenith of development in the 1780s and 90s. In its subject matter, the aesthetic of the neoclassical art was reflective of the Greek and Roman art in antiquity, evoking harmony, clarity, restraint, universality, and idealism.
I remember you guys in Bhutan saying that the choosing is actually used as a store for water. That means it would be filled from buckets and all that. And it's rather large. And I think the height comes up to one's waist. And it's almost a meter in diameter or so, right? So what is it usually used for? There's the interesting point that we didn't address about the ecological spin.
The source of water are from rivers and all. In the past, there were no water taps, so they had to store water in large pots called choosings. And usually, when guests arrive at your house, it is water is offered from the choosing, and choosing is also used for mass cooking purposes.
Do you have a choosing in your house?
Yes, this is a choosing from my house. It is around 90 to 100 years old.
Okay, interesting. And what is the metal that it's made from?
It is made out of brass, a mixture of zinc and copper.
Okay, interesting. So
Yes,
what's the importance of the work? Did Sarah Jung actually know the importance of this piece? Who was a sculptor? Why did he buy this piece and not some other piece? And so on. Go on.
Okay, sir. So I would like to begin my explanation with a basic introduction of the artifact. So the veiled Rebecca, or the veiled Virgin, as it is also called, is an artifact situated currently in Salajang Museum in Hyderabad. So this is an artifact mainly made of a Roman marble. So this marble, apart from other marbles or marble material which we see around, everywhere, it has a distinctive quality. This marble can be like beaten into thin sheets and be made translucent. So the actual veil, which you are able to see in the artifact, is made from this type of neoclassical architecture, just basically beating the marble into a thin translucent sheet and making it in such a form. So it was obviously made by Giovanni Maria Benzoni in the year 1864. So the artifact was made in Rome, in Italy. And why Salarjung I only specifically chose this artifact? There's a deep meaning and reason behind it. So Salarjung, when he was on his tour to Italy in the 1870s, he was very fascinated of this idea of Rebecca, the veiled Rebecca. He found the message of the veiled Rebecca, which was of modesty, of passion, and also a sense of caring, which was shown by her. So this incident or this particular frame, which you are able to see, happened when Rebecca met her husband Isaac for the first time. So she, felt very shy, and that is the reason why she has a veil on top. She has a veil, and her head or her body is covered by a thin sheet, and she's looking in a downward direction. So that is the answer to the first question, because Salarjung was really inspired by the idea, and he thought that this artifact in particular represents the ideologies of many people in the country, till today.
Okay, thank you. So, Seemaji, anything else that you'd like to ask before we move on to the valedictory? Because I think all the exhibits have been shown.
Basically, I thought that it was an interesting mixture where some people were looking at their own personal histories or family histories, and others were looking at more public objects. All of them were, talking about how they are embedded in culture and also embedded in function. This is how histories can be explored. You can actually look at how the object was made, who was it made for, how was it used over time, did the use change?
Thank you, Seemaji. I think there's a very important point that you made now, that history is not the past. We are actually living history day to day as we go along. We are creating history as we are going along.
So without any further ado, I would like to now move on to the valedictory ceremony. And the first award in the category awards is the best exhibit design. Any artifact without an exhibit which puts it into context is incomplete. So the team that has had the best exhibit is Team Glow from the Royal Academy, Bhutan. Their artifact was the Lham, which are traditional Bhutanese boots. Next, we have the award for the best storytelling. So the team that has won the award for the best storytelling is Team Artful Explorers from the Royal Academy, Bhutan again. Their artifact was the choosing, which is a traditional water storage box. The next we have is the award for the best photogrammetry, and this award goes to Team Technocrat from the Delhi Public School. Their artifact was the veiled Rebecca.
The interesting thing here is that this veiled Rebecca was behind glass, which made it difficult to take photographs of, and it was also translucent. It is white. So it's a very challenging object.
The next award we have is the Rare Find Award, and this team brought to us an artifact which was something truly unique because it has a lot of personal and cultural heritage value. And this award goes to Team Swordsmen from the Royal Academy, Bhutan. Their artifact was Sangay Tenzin sword. The Best Video Award. This award goes to Team Fantastic Four from the Royal Academy, Bhutan. Their artifact was the Vajra. The first honorable mention was Team Perennial Historian, Arya and Rogan Bhuktani. The next honorable mention we have is the carving of Buddha by Team Fort Red from the Delhi Public School. Next we have the Bhale Sultan Sahib Smarak by Surbhi Agarwal, Aditya Birla Public School. Then we have the IIT Bombay by Moshikatara Nagarajan, Laurel Senior Secondary School, Tanjavur. And our last honorable mention is the 95-year-old Ganesh statue by Arya Garg, Indian School, New Delhi. Now, we move on to our third, second, And first place winner, the third place goes to SaiAnish from Indian Public School. The second prize goes to Team WeNVU from the Royal Academy, Bhutan. The chosen artifact was the Lord of Mortality mask. And now moving towards the first prize that our teams won. That prize goes to Team Timeless Essence from the Royal Academy, Bhutan for their artifact, the Palang. And that brings us to the end of our valedictory session.
All I can say is that all of you are winners to have come so far to the finals. And we'd like to appreciate all of you for that. It's a great job. And we hope that you'll kind of take part again and kind of help us learn about other stuff that you will discover for us as we go along. But now I'd like to just ask our Bhutanese history teacher, Jamyang Thinle, to give us an idea, because one thing we found common amongst the Bhutanese students is that two very important things have been happening to contribute to their success. One is they have a very proactive history teacher who's working with them and supervising their trips outside the campus to take them to places, to have interviews and discover artifacts and so on. And the other is a very important phenomenon of older students training younger students, because Bhutan has been taking part, I think, in every instance of this competition.
I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate each and everyone. Amazing storytelling. Learn a lot from the teams who presented their work at this grand finals. And congratulations to you and your team, sir, for making this a success. And we look forward for the next edition of e-Yantra Virtual History Museum competition. We are very excited. I would like to inform the team that in the next competition, we will have students from 22 schools who are affiliated with Bhutan Baccalaureate. And it has been a great journey, great learning experience for students, for me as well. Going out, interacting with people, having learning experiences outside the campus. Success could be attributed to our students because they have been taking ownership. They have shown a lot of interest in learning technology and learning history. And as Sir mentioned, we wanted to make history interesting by bringing in technology. But I would say we have brought humanities into technology, because I believe we are moving away from our culture, from our roots, from our traditions. And technology has definitely helped us learn about history, but I also genuinely feel like we have brought humanities in this process back to technology. Yes, we have had students taking the lead, taking the role of a teacher, guiding the present participants, and those students who have participated in this competition. Next year, they will be going to lead the new participants and help in the process. So we have one of the attributes of schools of excellence, and that's students being a teacher.
Is there a spillover effect of the skill sets which are learned here into their engaging with the rest of the school curriculum and overall their attitude?
Since you and your team started with the virtual history museum competition, we are also having a similar exhibition this year in November, where all the works that our students have done will be presented virtually. The idea came from you and your team, and we are very grateful for that. And yes, the technology, the software, the skills the processes they're learning in the competition has been used in many other areas by our students. For example, last year, 4 participants who participated in the virtual history museum competition, they have been very active and they have shown a lot of interest in learning history. They have been very active using the technology they have learned while they're participating in the competition in other areas. It has definitely had a positive impact. Yeah, sir.
Lots of appreciation for the effort that you put in and your students have put in and the school has put in. Thank you very much. Great work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, sir.
So last but not least, we have Siddhi Batgara.
First of all, I would like to say that thank you for inviting me to be part of this whole journey. And I would like to congratulate all the participants. It was great to see their enthusiasm through the journey. And it's nice when students are enjoying history actually. Think I should congratulate the entire team of IIT as well, that I think you're creating this hands-on experience, which is very, very important, and giving them a platform to closely associate with historical objects. And specifically, I think most of the teams have got an opportunity to understand their own past and their own ancestry. I think they have been seeing those objects for a very long time, but I think this program has made them more curious and made them more engaged with their own past. I think that's the best thing. And I believe that they are going to take this ahead in their own coursework and their own future endeavors.
So I'd like to thank you all very much, but most of all, the students here for having shown their exemplary enterprise, for having embraced us and our work and whatever they had to do with this tremendous energy. Students, I tell you, when you are excited, when you are engaged, it gives us a lot of energy and it makes us also excited. So excitement and passion is very, very infective. Thank you all very much. And thank you, e-Yantra team. Good night. God bless. See you next time.